because we always need help with, you know, just consultation and trying to understand, you know, what's the next step for us, you know.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to talk with you more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd love that. I would love that.
Awesome. We're off to a great start already.
And parks are such an important part of the situation we find ourselves in with the pandemic and so forth and so on.
True. Oh, definitely.
People don't recognize that, generally speaking, and I think that's an important element, along with the fact that trails and Katha, last Tuesday night, the PIREC got voted down.
The what?
The Pontiac Youth Recreation Center got voted down. So
they so they're not going to buy the building?
That's correct.
Right.
Okay.
So all of a sudden we have another way of implementing and pulling forth good design on behalf of our youth. And parks and such and trails and such are such a big part of that possibility thinking that I think we'd be in a very good place right now to be talking about those kinds of things from the standpoint of what does good design do that bad design tries to address. And from our point of view, from a designer's point of view, and an ecosystem's point of view, the city presents that wonderful backdrop. In addition, the surrounding natural areas enhance that natural backdrop. So given that they don't have a plan that I'm aware of in this moment for what is to become of the dollars and or where that would land, with the exception there was some comment made that it might end up at United Shore at their building up that they bought from US Soccer. And that could be good.
The youth center?
The youth center could end up locating up at the United Shore facility because they bought the US Soccer. And I know soccer is an important element, but I'm not sure that that addresses the kind of recreational, you know, design elements that could be incorporated. But we think it has a good chance to be downtown. And I think maybe we've always talked about it at the Phoenix Center and so forth and so on. That might be a timely transitional point to engage. And we had some additional conversations regarding a library annex. Technology that's in the buildings in Ottawa Towers. And I still think that's a viable concept, but if you put all of those things together and are talking about finding funding, you have a much stronger point of finding the appropriate funding for such an endeavor. So we're thinking this is, you know, kind of the tent poles for what could be some valued proposition on behalf of youth, but most importantly on behalf of the city. And, you know, we've been advocating to get our youth downtown for several years and to no avail for the most part. I think it's just crucial. I think the reason we don't have anybody downtown is because no one had any connections to their downtown for the last 10, 20, maybe 30 years. And if you're not getting those as a young person, if you're not getting the signals and the engagement opportunities to have an emotional connection, you're not going to be there. I mean, just alone, 60% of our college graduates, our best and brightest as they're called, leave the state. 60%, well, 60%, okay, we got 40% left to choose from. And yet we still don't have our young people tied emotionally to their city, and they drift, and inappropriately so. So I think this is, you know, pointing out that some effort should be made to engage them. And what better than if it were done with a recreation engagement or a makerspace or a makerspace library recreation in kind of central drawing card for the city, so that they begin to have some engagement in memories that are treasured, that give them some sense that perhaps Pontiac is the place to live as opposed to leave. So do you have anything on the
well, I think you bring up some good some good points for. The big deterrent that I see is the fact that it's a downtown, and parking and just being, you know, feeling safe, parents wanting their kids to be in a place where there's some safety. And, you know, when you can't park easily, you know, it's going to be a problem on a daily for a regular operation. It's going to be a problem. When you know, in something like that, a youth center or community center even, you have to have adequate parking. You have to have a handle on that parking. And now that the city doesn't even own the parking, it just would be extremely problematic to put that in that complex, unless they figured out a way to make that work. But you have to have access to free parking. For a youth center, you're dealing with low-income people who are going to be dropping kids off, and you cannot expect them to be paying to go park a car and pick up their kids. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, we agree.
So that would be the detriment to it. Everything you said would be certainly, they would be good things, but it would just, the parking and the accessibility of downtown, the safety of downtown would be the downturns.
Mm-hmm. Well, the city still owns the parking, the Phoenix Center, so if
They don't have the rights to the parking though, does.
I'm sorry?
But they don't have the rights to the parking, but they do have the ability to call it back if
Yeah.
it's not being performed on.
Yeah.
So, but you're right, that they
Yeah,
did give
it's always
away,
going to be an issue.
they did give away the rights to the Ottawa Towers. However, there's also an MOU that's that has not been formed yet, and it was said aloud that they were going to do the MOU, you know, after the deal. Of course, they didn't do any community engagement or an MOU before the deal, which you would imagine most folks do, but they we still have the power to call on the MOU. Hi, Tina, by the way.
Hey,
Hi.
just happy Earth Day.
Happy Earth Day to you as well. We're just deep diving some local elements here at the Phoenix Center, and I'm glad that you are here because I'd love for you to introduce yourself, but specifically around this conversation, you're a huge kids and cities advocate and an architect. And could you introduce yourself further?
Yeah, and actually Ryan is going to be joining soon, I think. Ryan Smolar.
Awesome.
From
We're
Placemaking.
just flowing it as we go here. We have no structure there at all. We're just flowing with who shows up in the conversation.
Right. Okay, great.
Showing us where to go.
Yeah. So I'm an architect in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I raised my kids downtown, and I really, you know, grew up raised them with a lot of frustration of them having no place to play and having no accessibility to any kind of public space. And so I really feel for this project and trying to open it up and make it accessible. I mean,